Live from WTVO 17 and your home team. Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
2 weeks to the day since the U.S. Capitol was the site of violence, the scene is instead the peaceful transition of power. Joe Biden is now officially the 46th President of the United States. Hundreds of miles away, Rockford students experience our Constitution in action. They explain why they think it's important to participate even from a distance. And from a peaceful transition of power to a question about power. DeKalb City Council members take a vote on part of a multi-million-dollar project involving a social media giant. Good evening, I'm Muprhy. Eric is off tonight. Joe Biden is officially the 46th President of the United States. President Biden took the oath of office this morning in an inaugural ceremony that made history in many ways. Anna Warnicki joins us from Washington as she keeps you connected to the nation's capital.
A historic day here in Washington. Joe Biden addressed the nation for the first time as president, calling for unity in what he says is one of the country's most challenging times.
Joe Biden, now President Biden.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
Biden took the oath of office on the west steps of the U.S. Capitol, becoming the 46th President of the United States.
This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge and unity.
The ceremony kept with tradition, but was unlike any inauguration in history. Overlooking an almost empty National Mall in a city locked down over threats of domestic violence.
We must end this uncivil war that pits red against blue, rural versus urban, conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts.
President Biden says today Americans can be hopeful, nodding to his second in command, Vice President Kamala Harris, the first woman and woman of color elected to national office.
Don't tell me things can't change.
The small audience included former Presidents Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton. Noticeably absent, former President Donald Trump.
Have a good life. We will see you soon.
Who wished the new administration luck and thanked the nation before departing for Florida. Back on the Capitol steps, President Biden said it's time for a new beginning.
We will get through this together. Together.
President Biden participated in many of the inaugural traditions, including the pass and review, where the new president assesses the military before returning to the White House for an evening of virtual performances. In Washington, I'm Anna Warnicki. Back to you.
Congresswoman Cheri Bustos represented parts of the state line at the ceremony this morning. This is the third inauguration she's attended. Bustos says it was a moment for the history books. The Congresswoman says the Biden administration will lead the country to brighter days following the last 4 years.
He's not going into this job at all lightly. This is a guy who has spent decades of his life, the vast majority of his life, working for the federal government, understanding that we're all judged by whether we deliver or not, and it is time to deliver.
One of President Biden's top priorities is repairing the damage left by the coronavirus pandemic. When asked if she would support a national mask mandate, Bustos said that action would likely be taken through an executive order. Across the aisle, Republican Congressman and Trump critic Adam Kinzinger released a statement on behalf of himself and his wife, reading, quote, "The peaceful transition of power was threatened just 2 weeks ago, and though we continue to face deeply challenging times, our democracy is resilient. Today, Sophia and I send our heartfelt congratulations to President Biden and his administration on this historic inauguration day." Thousands of National Guard troops stood watch outside the inauguration because of security concerns. Dozens more guarded our state capitol. The entire Capitol complex, including the State House, are on lockdown. Those National Guard troops have a heavily armed presence. The old state capitol and other historic landmarks were also under guard. Illinois State Police deployed drones as well. There have been no incidents all week in Springfield. Republican State Representative Dan Calkins says he took offense at the show of strength.
I think it's a terrible image that this governor's administration is pulling out, trying, I believe, more than anything, to discredit people on the other side of the aisle. This governor is, I think, is inciting a backlash by doing that. This was not necessary.
The last time Springfield saw so much security in place is when former President Barack Obama launched his White House bid back in 2008. Millions of Americans' eyes were glued to the screen this morning, watching the nation's new leader take the reins of power. That includes students across the state line. Some tell Ari Bruckman the tradition serves as a jumping-off point for unity.
Your job is to use the internet, and so the occasion that we have every 4 years is really a symbol of American democracy.
After weeks of ballot recounts, Joe Biden is officially sworn in as the 46th president of the United States. Across the state line, schools stream the inauguration inside classrooms. Rockford Lutheran school teacher Steve Vaughn says it's a chance for everyone to come together.
Democracy that's existed for over 200 years now, and it's really a celebration.
Chris Kellogg and Abby Buchanan are seniors at Rockford Lutheran School. They believe it's important for students their age to see a peaceful transition of power.
Well, I think it means a lot in terms of the pandemic and in terms of the change of power. It seems like there's a lack of respect in many forms, and I think it's important to see a peaceful transition.
We need to learn about it now in order to set a good example for everybody that's to come behind us.
Vaughn has been a teacher at Rockford Lutheran for 9 years. He says he continues to show inaugurations because it demonstrates what unites us as a country.
I think it's important to show that a transition to a new administration is normal, but even when we've had conflict over the last 4 years or more, we come together at a moment like this when we can celebrate what really unites us as a country, our love of our democracy.
In Rockford, for your home team, I'm Ari Bruckman.
An Ogle County community mourns the loss of its police chief. The village of Forston announced today that Police Chief Michael Boomgarden passed away. He served as chief for over a decade. Eyewitness News last spoke with Boomgarden in August when a tornado tore through multiple mobile home parks in the village. He said his top priority was keeping people safe. No word yet on a cause of death. Hospital workers in the Chicago suburbs observe a moment of silence for patients who died from COVID-19. Last night, staff from Advocate Lutheran General Hospital in Park Ridge went outside to pray and reflect. In Chicago, people were asked to turn off their lights and electronics and go outside and light a candle at 6 p.m. The city asked that people keep the lights off for 10 minutes of reflection and turn them back on to symbolize going from darkness to light. The city of Chicago is currently in Tier 2 mitigations for COVID-19. Loosening restrictions means attractions like the Shedd Aquarium are getting ready to reopen their doors with limits on the number of visitors. Museums can reopen at 25% capacity. A spokesperson for the Shedd Aquarium says it will reopen to the general public January 30th after being closed since mid-November.
We can't wait to welcome everybody back. We have a massive air filtration system, hourly cleaning protocols, social distancing, required facial coverings.
As for bars and restaurants in Chicago, indoor service is still closed, but the commissioner of Chicago's Department of Public Health hints that could change in a matter of days. DeKalb City leaders are closer to signing off on an $800 million Facebook data center. The building will be located near Route 23. Some residents voiced concern over its proximity to the road, but the city's Planning and Zoning Commission hopes to plant a berm to serve as a barrier between traffic. The 900,000 square foot center will create hundreds of jobs. According to Facebook, the facility will run on 100% renewable energy. Company executives chose DeKalb for its strong talent pool, connection to higher education institutions, and solid infrastructure. Valentine's Day is fast approaching. To help spread the love, consider sending a note to a local senior citizen. The past year has been a challenge for older people as they adapt to COVID restrictions and keep a distance from family and friends. That's why state line leaders started the Valentines for Seniors program. Groups across the state line are urged to create cards for those living in long-term care facilities. Valentines will be collected through February 10th. There are a few drop-off locations on your screen right now. Find the full list on our website, mystateline.com. President Trump uses his final hours in the White House to issue a flurry of pardons. After the break, a breakdown of the list of names granted clemency. And as the new administration sworn into office, young girls around the world are watching what the nation's newest vice president represents for women in the state line. That's coming up at 6.
temperatures continue their climb even as the sun sets this evening thanks to those strong winds, but that southerly wind causing some issues on some roads here this afternoon. Find out if that'll be a problem heading into tomorrow morning. Coming up in your most trusted forecast a little later.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team with Eric Wilson, Mimi Muprhy, Sports Director Scott Leber, and Chief Meteorologist Candice King.
On the final night of his presidency, Donald Trump issues a list of more than 70 pardons and 70 commutations. The name getting the most attention, Steve Bannon, the president's former chief strategist, who was indicted after raising money to build the southern border wall, most of which he allegedly stole. Also on the list, other political allies and prominent Republicans, and former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, a Democrat who served more than 7 years behind bars for racketeering and bribery. And rappers Lil Wayne and Kodak Black, both convicted of weapons charges. Trump's pardons for members of his inner circle have been met with backlash from critics, but past presidents have also used sweeping powers to pardon associates in their final weeks in office.
But I'm not really sure that this is going to be the thing that, really takes down President Trump's, future in politics. His use of the pardon power hasn't hurt him thus far, and I don't expect it to right now.
President Trump did not pardon any members of his own family or himself.
Now, your first warned weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Candice King.
I'll tell you what, it was nice to see the sunshine out there this afternoon. It's been a long time since we've had a full day of sun. And despite that, our winds have been more on the gusty side, but at least we've had the sunshine. A live look with our Mercial SkyTrack camera out in Rochelle, looking off to the northwest. Beautiful sunset for us this evening. And we are going to continue with that clear sky for the next few hours, but we'll start to see some clouds kind of roll in as we head through about 9-10 o'clock this evening, and those will then move out as we go through the overnight. But the sun kind of put on the back burner because of those winds. The winds, they've been strong from the south for much of this afternoon, sustained now between 15 and 25 miles per hour. But throughout the day today, we've had winds gusting close to 35 and still 25 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts from the south here this evening. That's caused some issues on some of our roads throughout the day, the open and rural areas and some of those county and country roads with the blowing and drifting snow, specifically on the east-west roads through much of this afternoon. So those slick and icy conditions will actually continue while the wind speed comes down just a bit. We are still going to have enough of a wind to keep that blowing snow on those east-west roads. Tomorrow, our wind direction shifts around to the west and will gust close to 30 miles per hour. So this means the north-south roads might have a little bit more of an impact going into the morning and through the day tomorrow. 27 our temperature in Belvedere, 29 in Rockford, 28 in Freeport. Our numbers are actually going up. Now you might have looked at your thermometer today and said, I thought you said temperatures were going to be in the 30s this afternoon, and they are. They're climbing, but that high temperature, because we started off so cold this morning, is actually going to be reached in the next couple of hours. So it's a late day high, and will actually stay fairly mild as we go through the night tonight. 29, our weather watcher Mike is checking in here just north of Forston, underneath a mostly clear sky. Our temperatures, they will continue to stay in the 20s, 26 degrees right now. Sandy, our weather watcher in the Kirkland-Fairdale area, says there's quite a bit of blowing and drifting snow there in northern DeKalb County. 26 also, our weather watcher Ben in South Beloit is checking in. Mostly clear sky, had an inch of snow from what came down yesterday afternoon and yesterday evening, but with that sunshine today, we've been pretty quiet. 23, our weather watcher Bob's checking in with here on the southeast side of Rockford, and that dew point number of 17. I mentioned with that southwesterly wind pulling in a little bit more warm air, but again, the wind offsetting that for us this afternoon. Temperatures will stay in the mid-20s tonight, but that wind chill stays in the teens throughout the day tomorrow. We've got the cloud cover up to the north of us, actually a cold front coming through. That is what's going to help shift that wind around to the west for tomorrow, up to 34, but then that temperature will fall as high pressure builds in late in the day on Thursday and then heading into Friday. We'll see a few clouds from time to time with that second push of that colder air coming in Thursday night. Could be a couple of flurries into the overnight, but that high pressure system going into Friday will keep that high temperature right around 20 degrees, and through the afternoon, our wind chills in the single digits. In fact, I dropped my number down to 2 Friday night. Going into Saturday, Good news, there's not going to be much wind for that. 21 on Saturday afternoon. Chance for snow late Saturday. Could see some accumulating snow then heading into Sunday.
At least we got the sunshine today. Thanks, Candice.
Now, the Napleton Sports Desk with Sports Director Scott Leber.
Like it or not, Matt Nagy is still the Bears head coach. Nagy's first major decision of this offseason is picking a defensive coordinator to replace Chuck Pagano. And the name that has surfaced as a candidate is Mike Singletary. The Athletic reported this afternoon that Singletary interviewed with the Bears for the job earlier this week. Singletary's had several coaching stints in the NFL. He was the head coach of the 49ers from 2011 to a decade ago, and that didn't work out so well. He was on the coaching staffs with the Vikings and the Rams as an assistant. He last coached with the Rams in 2016. Now, I wouldn't say Singletary as a head coach of an NFL team would be my choice based on his 49ers days, although I'm sure he's wiser now and would handle things differently. As a defensive coordinator, though, he might be a fit, especially if he can channel his aggressive, take-no-prisoners mindset to the rest of the guys on the Bears defense. I'd like to see the Bears defense take on a more aggressive approach than we've seen the last 2 years. Hiring Singletary would also be a huge public relations boost for the Bears. Mike Singletary is an icon, and Bears fans need something to feel good about right now. The Bears need some good publicity. Just maybe those factors and Singletary's desire to coach again will make this Bears reunion come to pass. Or this could simply have been a courtesy interview by the Bears with a Bears legend and an interview with a minority coach that fits the NFL's push to reach out to more minority candidates. Well, Aaron Rodgers has already snared one MVP award this season. The Pro Football Writers of America have voted him as their MVP choice. It's the third time in his career Rodgers has earned the MVP nod from the Pro Football Writers. The big MVP honor is the AP Most Valuable Player Award. That's the one everyone remembers, and that won't be announced until the eve of the Super Bowl. In my mind and in the minds of most people, it's not even a contest. Rodgers, hands down, deserves the MVP award. Derrick Henry was great. Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen was marvelous. But Aaron Rodgers had one of the all-time great seasons in NFL history. He is the NFL's most valuable player. That's my take. We'll be right back.
Our first warning interactive radar brought to us by Rockford Auto Glass and More. Skies will stay clear as we go through the night tonight. The wind will continue to be the big story here through this evening. Temperatures won't be quite as cold as we stay in the 20s through the overnight, but the wind chills will stay in the teens. Some blowing and drifting snow in the open areas. 34 for tomorrow afternoon. Snow then late Saturday into Sunday.
All right, thanks, Candice, and thanks for watching. We'll see you at 6.